Before you skip, before your finger even thinks about scrolling away, pause for a moment. Because the message you are about to hear was not meant to reach everyone. It was meant to reach someone specific. Someone who has been wondering. Someone who has been questioning the timing of their life. Someone who has quietly asked the universe, late at night, when will the right person finally come into my life? If that question has ever crossed your mind, even once, then stay with me for the next few minutes. Because something unusual is happening right now. This message, this very moment, is not random. Somehow, in a way that is difficult to explain, your future spouse has something to say to you. Not tomorrow. Not years from now. But right now. And the strange part is, many people will hear these words, but only a few will feel something deep in their chest as the message unfolds. Those are the people the message was meant for. And if you are still here listening, there is a strong possibility that you are one of them. Take a deep breath. Clear your mind. And imagine something with me. Imagine a moment in the future. You are standing somewhere peaceful. Maybe it's early morning, sunlight is just beginning to touch the sky. The world feels calm, quiet, almost as if time slowed down for a second. Across from you stands someone. Someone whose presence feels strangely familiar. Even though you may have never met them before. Their eyes carry a softness, a warmth, a quiet understanding that makes you feel seen in a way no one else ever has. And they look at you, not with curiosity, but with recognition. As if they have been searching for you for a long time. Now listen carefully. Because the words that follow are the message they want you to hear. Not later. Now. I know you don't know me yet, but somehow our paths are already moving toward each other. Right now, you are living your life, dealing with your struggles, facing your doubts, wondering if the right person will ever truly understand you. And the truth is, I'm wondering the same thing. Somewhere out there, I've been living my life too. I've had moments of happiness, moments of confusion, moments where I questioned whether real connection even exists in this world anymore. But deep down, there has always been a quiet feeling. A feeling that someone is out there. Someone whose story will one day cross mine. Someone who will look at me and understand the chapters of my life without needing every detail explained. That person is you. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. Because the message does not stop there. The voice continues. I know you've been through things. Moments where people misunderstood you. Times where you gave your heart, your effort, your patience, and things still didn't work out the way you hoped. I know there were nights when you wondered if maybe love was simply not meant for you. But here is something you don't know yet. Every experience you have had, every lesson, every moment that felt like a delay, was quietly preparing both of us for the day we finally meet. Because when that moment comes, it will not feel rushed. It will not feel forced. It will feel natural. Like two stories that were always meant to connect. Now think about your own life for a moment. Think about the strange timing of things. The people who appeared in your life and disappeared. The plans that changed. The paths you never expected to walk. What if those moments were not accidents? What if they were simply part of a bigger story, leading you toward someone who is also moving through their own journey right now? The message continues. I wish you could see the future for just a second. Not everything, just one small glimpse. Because if you could, you would stop worrying so much about being alone right now. You would understand that our meeting is not something ordinary. It will happen at a moment when both of us are finally ready to recognize each other. Not just with our eyes, but with our hearts. And when that moment comes, something surprising will happen. The noise of the world will fade. All the doubts, all the confusion, all the past disappointments. They will suddenly feel smaller. Because you will realize that every step you took before that moment was guiding you here. Let that thought settle inside your mind. Because many people rush through life searching for something they cannot clearly define. They search for connection. For understanding. For someone who truly sees them. But the truth is, real connection does not appear through force. It appears through alignment. Two lives moving through their own experiences, their own lessons. Until the moment arrives when their paths finally cross. And according to this message, that moment is closer than you think. The voice continues. Right now, you may be focused on your goals, your responsibilities, the challenges you are trying to overcome. You may not even realize how close we are to meeting. But I can feel it. Something in the rhythm of life is shifting. Something is quietly bringing our worlds closer together. And when we finally meet, you might not recognize the importance of that moment immediately. It may start as a simple conversation. A small interaction. A moment that feels normal at first. But later, you will look back and realize something incredible. That small moment was the beginning of everything. Now imagine that. Imagine a random day in the future. A place you never expected. A conversation you never planned. And yet, that moment becomes the turning point in your story. The message continues again. And when we meet, I won't expect you to be perfect. I won't expect you to have everything figured out. Because I won't be perfect either. What I will bring is honesty. Understanding. Patience. And the willingness to build something real together. Something that grows stronger over time. Take another breath. Because this message carries something deeper than simple romance. It carries reassurance. Reassurance for anyone who has ever wondered if the right person truly exists. The voice speaks once more. So if you are hearing this right now, wherever you are, whatever you are going through, I want you to remember something important. Your story is still unfolding. Your life is still moving forward. And somewhere in this world, our paths are slowly moving closer. Closer than they were yesterday. Closer than they were last year. And one day, sooner than you think, our eyes will meet for the first time. And in that quiet moment, something inside both of us will say the same thing. Finally, we found each other. But there is still something you need to understand. Because the message is not finished yet. There is another part, a deeper part, that explains why this message reached you today, at this exact moment. And what it reveals about your future might surprise you more than anything you have heard so far. Because according to what comes next, the meeting between you and this person will happen in a way that feels almost impossible to predict. And when you hear how it unfolds, you may start looking at the events in your life very differently. That revelation begins in the next part. Something unusual happens in life just before two important paths finally meet. At first, nothing seems different. Days pass like normal. You wake up, go through your routines, handle responsibilities, solve small problems, chase small goals. But underneath that ordinary surface, something invisible begins to shift. Tiny events start arranging themselves quietly. Conversations you didn't plan. Places you didn't expect to visit. Choices that seem small at the time, yet somehow lead you one step closer to someone you haven't met yet. And according to the message your future spouse is sending, you may already be standing inside that exact phase of your life. Listen carefully. Because the voice continues. Right now, you may think life is simply moving forward in random ways. But there are moments happening around you that are not random at all. Moments that will make sense later. One day you will look back and realize that the smallest decisions led you directly to me. Think about that for a second. How many times in life have you ended up somewhere unexpected? Maybe a different job. A different city. A random conversation with someone who changed your perspective. At the time, it all felt ordinary. But later, you realized those moments were actually turning points. Your future spouse's message becomes more personal. I know something about you that most people don't notice. You have a habit of carrying your thoughts quietly. You don't always say everything you feel. Sometimes you observe people more than you speak. Sometimes you protect your heart because you have learned that not everyone understands its depth. Pause. Because if those words feel accurate, it may be exactly why this message found you. The voice continues. You've had moments where you felt like you were walking through life slightly out of sync with everyone else. Like your heart moves at a different rhythm. While others rush into connections quickly, you hesitate. You watch. You listen. You try to understand whether someone truly sees you or just sees an image of you. But here is the surprising part of the message. I'm the same way. I've also waited. I've also stepped back when something didn't feel genuine. And because of that, our timing had to be different from everyone else's. If we had met earlier, maybe we wouldn't have recognized each other. Maybe we wouldn't have understood the value of the connection. But now, life is slowly guiding us to the moment where we will. Now imagine that. Two people, living separate lives, learning separate lessons, facing separate challenges. Yet somehow, their journeys are preparing them for the same meeting. The message continues. There is something I need you to know before we meet. Please don't rush your life trying to find me. Please don't think you are behind everyone else. Because the truth is, the strongest connections in life rarely arrive early. They arrive at the exact moment when both people have grown enough to recognize them. Let those words settle in your mind. Because many people measure their lives against the timelines of others. They see friends getting married. They see relationships forming around them. And sometimes they wonder if they are falling behind. But the message from your future spouse says something very different. Your story is not late. Your story is simply unique. And when our paths cross, it will happen with a clarity that makes all the waiting make sense. Picture that moment again. A normal day. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud. But something subtle changes. Maybe it begins with a simple hello. Maybe a conversation that lasts longer than expected. Maybe a moment where both of you suddenly feel comfortable in a way that feels unfamiliar. The message continues. You might not realize it at first. But there will be a small moment, a very quiet moment, where both of us feel something unusual. Not excitement. Not nervousness. But peace. A calm feeling that says, there is something different about this person. And that is where your story begins. Not with fireworks. Not with grand gestures. But with recognition. A recognition that grows stronger with every conversation, every shared moment, every laugh, every honest exchange. The voice speaks again. And when we start learning about each other, you will discover something surprising. Our lives will have strange parallels. Experiences that feel similar. Moments where we faced the same type of challenge, even though we were far apart. Almost as if your stories were developing in separate chapters of the same book. But there is another part of the message that might surprise you even more. Your future spouse says this. There will be a moment when I finally tell you something. I will look at you and say that I felt your presence in my life long before we met. Not in a mystical way, but in a quiet intuition. A feeling that somewhere in the world there was someone whose heart understood mine. Now imagine hearing those words one day. Imagine realizing that while you were wondering about your future partner, they were wondering about you too. The message grows even deeper. Right now, you might be questioning things in your life. You might be asking yourself whether the path you are walking is the right one. You might feel uncertain about where everything is going. But here is something I want you to remember. Every step you are taking right now, even the confusing ones, are part of the path that leads you to me. Let that idea stay with you for a moment. Because sometimes the road that feels uncertain is actually guiding us toward the most meaningful moments of our lives. The voice continues softly. So when you feel impatient, when you wonder why things haven't happened yet, remember this message. Remember that somewhere out there, I am moving through my own life too. Learning my own lessons. Growing in my own way. And every day, whether we realize it or not, our stories are moving closer together. Think about that. Right now. Somewhere in the world, the person who will one day stand beside you might be having an ordinary day. Maybe they are working. Maybe they are thinking about their future. Maybe they are wondering about the same questions you have asked yourself. And without realizing it, both of you are slowly approaching the same moment in time. But the message is not finished. Because there is something your future spouse hinted at, something that makes the story even more fascinating. According to what they say, the way you will meet may involve a moment so unexpected, so strangely timed, that you will remember it for the rest of your life. Not because it was dramatic, but because of what happened right before it. A small event. A tiny decision. Something that almost didn't happen. And if that moment had gone differently, the meeting between you and your future spouse might never have occurred. That extraordinary turning point is what the next part of this message reveals.